There comes a time in a man's life where the distance between who he is and who he knows he should be becomes impossible to ignore. Not because someone tells him, not because circumstances force him, but because the truth becomes too loud to silence. A truth that says, you have been operating below your potential. A truth that says, you have more inside you than you have been living. A truth that says, you have drifted. That recognition is uncomfortable, but it is also powerful. Because the moment a man recognizes that he has drifted is the moment he becomes capable of returning. And this, right now, is the moment of return. This is the comeback season. The comeback season is not filled with applause. It is not celebrated. It is not visible. It begins in silence, with a quiet admission to yourself that something has slipped, that your standards have been lowered, that the man in the mirror is not the man you once were or the man you are meant to become. This moment is not about guilt. It is about awakening. It is about remembering that the strongest version of you is not a memory. He's waiting beneath the layers of comfort, distraction, exhaustion, and habit. And he is ready to rise again. The year is coming to an end. The calendar is shrinking. The excuses are thinning. There is no more time to pretend that later will save you. There is no more room to tell yourself the lie that a new year will bring a new you. The truth is simple. You will be the exact same man in 2026 that you are right now, unless you make the decision to change. Not in January, not when the energy feels right, not when circumstances align. Now, before the year closes, before the window closes, before your sense of urgency collapses into regret. A comeback does not begin with a breakthrough. It begins with a choice, a decision to rise before you feel ready, a decision to move before motivation arrives, a decision to act even when your mind negotiates. Because your mind will negotiate. It will say you have time. It will say you deserve rest. It will say your efforts can wait. But you have heard that voice before, and you know where it leads. Frustration, stagnation, wasted potential, the quiet resentment of yourself. The comeback season is the season where you stop listening to that voice. You do not need to rebuild everything at once. You do not need to sprint. You simply need to return to yourself. Return to discipline. Return to the habits that sharpened you. Return to the pace that made you dangerous. The comeback is not a dramatic transformation. The comeback is a return to the standard. When you return to your standard, momentum returns. When momentum returns, clarity returns. When clarity returns, confidence returns. The comeback is not about reinventing yourself. It is about remembering yourself. There was a time when you kept your word to yourself. A time when your promises were not suggestions. A time when if you said you would wake up early, you did. A time when training was not optional. A time when hard work was normal. A time when discipline was non-negotiable. That version of you is not gone. He is dormant. He has not been defeated. He has not disappeared. He has simply been waiting for you to stop being comfortable and start being hungry again. Comfort is the enemy of the comeback. Comfort convinces you that you are okay as you are. Comfort convinces you that maintaining is enough. Comfort convinces you that progress can wait. But every time you choose comfort, you drift further away from the man you are supposed to be. Comfort is easy in the short term, but devastating in the long term. Discipline is hard in the short term, but undeniable in the long term. And you know this in your chest. You have lived both. You have felt the emotional heaviness of comfort, and you have felt the spiritual lightness of discipline. You know which one is right for you. This is the season where you stop apologizing to yourself. This is the season where you stop explaining why you haven't changed. This is the season where you stop saying soon. This is the season where you stop rationalizing your own potential away. The comeback season is not about making yourself feel good. It is about telling yourself the truth, even when the truth stings. And the truth is this: you are capable of far more than you have been living. The gap between you and your highest self is not talent. It is not knowledge. It is not time. It is consistency. It is follow-through. It is keeping your word when the excitement is gone. It is doing the uncomfortable thing until it becomes your new normal. You do not need new information. You need repetition. Repetition builds identity. Identity controls behavior. Behavior produces results. This is how the comeback becomes permanent. You don't change your life. You change your identity. The strongest men you admire are not motivated all the time. They are not driven every day. They are not inspired every morning. They simply act regardless. They act because action is who they are. They move because discipline is who they are. They execute because commitment is who they are. They have eliminated negotiation from their internal dialogue. When it is time to train, they train. When it is time to work, they work. When it is time to push, they push. And through repetition, that level of consistency becomes effortless. The comeback season feels slow at first. You wake up early, and it feels unnatural. You train, and it feels heavy. You work, and your focus feels weak. That is not failure. That is the process of shedding the version of yourself that got comfortable. You are not behind. You are rebuilding. You are rewiring. You are reawakening. With every day you follow through, your identity strengthens. With every time you refuse to negotiate with your excuses, your confidence returns. With every repetition, your fire returns. Self-respect is the foundation of confidence. And self-respect is built through action. When you keep your word, you prove to yourself that you are someone who can be trusted. When you break your word, you teach yourself that you are someone who cannot. A comeback is not about achieving a goal. It is about restoring the relationship you have with yourself. When you can trust yourself again, everything becomes easier. Decision-making becomes clearer. Discipline becomes natural. Direction becomes obvious. Confidence becomes real. Do not look at the year and mourn the time you wasted. Look at it and recognize that you are being called to rise. If there was no drift, there would be no comeback. If there was no slip, there would be no awakening. If there was no frustration, there would be no hunger. The comeback season does not begin with regret. It begins with responsibility. Responsibility for your habits. Responsibility for your time. Responsibility for your discipline. Responsibility for your direction. 2026 is approaching, and it will not wait. It will arrive with or without your readiness. And when it does, it will simply reflect who you decided to be in these final days. Not who you hoped to be. Not who you said you would be. Who you trained yourself to be. If you want to enter that year strong, you must act now. Momentum does not happen in January. Momentum is built in the quiet, disciplined days when everyone else is slowing down. So this is your moment. The moment where you return. The moment where you sharpen. The moment where you rise. Not loudly, quietly, not for the world. For yourself, because you remember who you are. And because you have no intention of entering 2026 as a man who abandoned his potential. This is your comeback season. And this is No Excuse Network. If you're ready to return to the strongest version of yourself, subscribe now. You begin today.